Hi and welcome to the Nagle Spin Series, where we give you a full 360 view of the latest stoves and fires on the market. Today I'm joined by one of the true icons of the stove industry, the Stovax Stockton. This stove was first introduced by Stovax back in 2001. And now over 2 decades later, we're looking at the 4th generation with a range of improvements and refinements. The Stockton range comes in several size options, starting from a compact Stockton 3 model, stepping through a 4, a 5, this Stockton 8 model, all the way up to an 11 kilowatt version. So whether you're heating a small room or a larger living space, there's a Stockton stove to suit your needs. So in terms of specifications and outputs on this stove, the Stockton 8 is a robust heating solution, delivering a nominal heat output of 8.3 kilowatt, with an operational range of between 4 and 11 kilowatt. Its efficiency is also rated at 78.4%. In terms of dimensions, this stove measures 603 millimeters wide, 620 millimeters high, and 385 millimeters in deep, and it will also accommodate a log of 400 millimeters in length. Now let's spin the stove round and take a closer look. Starting with the front of this stove features a cast iron door which adds to its design and durability. This model shown is shown in the single door, but you can also choose a double door if you'd like a more traditional aesthetic. In terms of the air controls, we got 3 individual air controls on the Stockton range. We have our air wash on the top, our primary air control underneath, and the secondary air control underneath the fire. This allows you ultimate flexibility when choosing multi-fuel, as it gives you different options on how to control the air coming into the stove. Also on the front of the stove, we have our riddling grate in here. As this is a multi-fuel model, we have a riddling grate and we can riddle the ashes into the ash pan underneath. As we go around to the side of the fire, we see it's a very plain side, which looks quite simple and easy on the eye. As we turn around to the back, we see that we have the rear flue outlet and also we have a top outlet on this stove. Also we have a benefit of an add-on, which is the heat shield, which reduces the distance combustible quite considerably on this model and is a really nice feature that comes standard on this stove. As we come around the other side, it mirrors the first side, so it's a very simple and sleek design. As we open the stove, what's included in the Stockton range is as follows. You got your manual and your good Stovax leather gloves. Underneath here, we also have your flue collars, and there's 2 different flue collars depending on whether you're going for top or back outlet on this. Also, we have the really nice handle, which is something I'll get into a little bit later on, and that's a really nice utensil that they include in their Stockton range. Also, we got a little heat shield. This is a really nice feature again, which is the heat shield that comes up the back of the stove and protects the flue collar if you're coming off the top of the outlet of the stove. That means that the distance combustible is even covered on the flue collar of the stove, which is a great idea. I've never seen any manufacturer allow to include a heat shield for the flue collar. Internally, this model, as I mentioned earlier, is a multi-fuel model. That means that you get the riddling grate and the ash pan underneath. This stove is also available in a wood burning variety. That means you omit the multi-fuel grate and also the ash pan, and you burn wood burning on the base of the fire. So it gives you a lot of options on whether you want a dedicated wood burner or a multi-fuel option. As with all stoves on the market, there are a number of notables and nitpicks. And my notables on this Stockton range start with the handle attachment. I think that this is a really smart idea. This handle attachment is designed to sit on the handle of the stove very simply like that, and it first and foremost allows you to not come in contact with the hot handle of the stove. It also gives you very good leverage for opening and closing the door, and it's a really smart idea. In relation to the handle on the stove, I also really love how Stovax have incorporated a really positive click when you open and close the door. So it lets you know when you have closed the door correctly. Also, this handle has more than one purpose. If you turn to the other side of the handle, it actually attaches to the riddling grate and pulls your riddling grate in and out, so you can riddle the ashes into the ash bin on a multi-fuel model. And finally, the last feature of this handle is that it will actually attach to your ash pan and it pulls out your ash pan. So it's a really, really simple idea. One handle does all, but a really, really smart idea from Stovax. My next notable on the Stockton range has to be customizability. When we're talking about the Stockton range, I touched on it earlier, it has to be said they do still offer you options to customize the stove to your liking. On this particular Stockton 8 model, you can see I have it designed in a multi-fuel variety. Now I touched on it earlier, you can also choose to have this in a wood burning option. Now also Stovax will allow you the option of choosing a double door as well, which I also touched on, and this offers you the option of customizing the stove to your particular design and your needs. So I think that's a really good notable. My last notable on this Stovax Stockton has to be around the back, and that is what I did mention earlier, is the heat shield. Stovax offer this heat shield at no extra cost. This comes standard on your Stockton range. And what this heat shield does is it allows you to fit this stove at a much closer distance to combustible. And it's a really good feature to come standard on a Stovax Stockton. In terms of nitpicks on this model, a lot of manufacturers have now opted for single air controls. On the Stockton range, Stovax have stuck with the traditional individual air controls. Now this can be seen as a positive in some lights, but personally I do see it as a little bit of a negative, because lots of people just want a single air control to control all the air from the fire, taking out any errors. My next nitpick on this Stockton model has to be the sinter grate on this multi-fuel version. This is coming from experience, where I find that the sinter grate stops riddling after a number of fires. I've seen a lot of manufacturers opt away from sinter riddling grates to just pure static multi-fuel grates. And I think that's a really good feature, because I find that these sinter grates seize up and they don't work anyway. So I think just going for a static multi-fuel grate makes a lot more sense. My last nitpick on the Stovax Stockton model is the lack of an external air. Now I know Stovax have a good number of stoves that have external air, but I'd love to see the Stovax Stockton model getting external air in the future, which will mean that we can have more options of where we can fit the Stovax Stockton in the future. The Stovax Stockton has a long heritage in the stove industry, and we look forward to the Stockton range for many more generations to come. I hope you enjoyed my review of the stove. If you have any questions about which Stockton size is right for your home, or about the available options, please feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to help. You can also leave your questions in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks for watching.